I'm Mike.
And I'm Adam.
And this is Stuff and Waffle. Two friends talking about stuff, and often as not, waffling with frequent reference to Bond cars.
After much trepidation, with a sprinkling of procrastination, we've achieved something.
We have. We've finally done it.
We have. Now, this is something that we've been threatening to do, and then stepped it up on the gear to say, actually, let's just get it out of the way now. And I think everyone is on board with that.
We set ourselves a deadline, which is always a good idea.
Yeah. So we set ourselves a deadline of watching Die Another Day before the end of January, and here we are, both having watched it. This is so. Don't judge us. This will come out after the end of January, but as we speak, we are still in January.
We are. We have made it. But we are still in there. We're on the 30th as we speak. We are.
So we have fulfilled our. Oh, no, it makes us sound wonderful, doesn't it? The amount of times we said we were going to watch it, never did. Okay, so we actually did watch it, and we've got thoughts, haven't we? Basically,
it's our podcast. If we want to big ourselves up, we can. All right, it's the only place we can get away with it. So
yeah. That's it. No, there's no praise coming from anyone else, so might as well throw it on ourselves.
One tiny little area of life where we have some control, so let's not mess it up.
No. So we've done it. We've watched the one that's we knew was going to be tricky.
Yeah. It's the one with the ice.
In fact, it is. Yes.
It actually is the one with the ice. Yes.
Yes. Right. So
I think we call this a discussion. It's not a review. It's a discussion of the film, I would say.
I think that's fair, because in films that we've watched previous to this, we have reviewed them and we've gone through them in very sort of chronological order. And I'm going to put something out there now and say, if we do that, and we break down sort of scene by scene or segment by segment, I'm going to get cross, I think.
Yes.
not with the progress, but more with the content. Because now, well, let's get into it. Let's sort of explain what I'm getting at there. Because every time that we spoke about it, either on air or off air, I've said to you, we should probably just watch it. I bet it's not as bad as we remember.
You have said those words. Yes.
I have said those words. No, on a personal level, I may have to take them back.
Yeah, it was for me. It was exactly how I remembered it, actually.
And see, I think a lot of time has passed since I watched it last.
I haven't watched it in a very long time. Yeah,
I would quite easily say more than a decade for me.
I couldn't put a specific timescale on it, but it could be the same for me. Yeah.
And I did go in with a hint of hope.
I did, and to be fair, I think the film does start quite strong.
The pre-credits or pre-title, sorry. Not too bad.
It's not too bad. It's sort of fairly standard Bond fare.
Not too bad. Not overdone. Not overly long. Fairly.
No, I think the pre-title is quite good. I think it establishes a few things, because it is actually part of the story. It's not just a sort of pasted on pre-title sequence as we've had on some of them. It does relate to the story.
Oh yeah.
So and I think it that sequence ends quite strongly as well. You know, it's quite a dark finish, where Bond is captured, and you see them start to torture him in the place there, and you start to think, oh, actually, this is a bit edgy, a bit darker than we've had up to this point, and okay, I think it is actually quite a strong start. And you think, oh, this is a bit different. This is a bit darker. They're pushing this in a new area, new direction.
Which is that's okay. The bits that let it down are probably the one-liners in quite a serious pre-title.
Yes. They're not the best, are they?
No.
And they perhaps don't belong at all.
No, I would say not really needed for what was unfolding.
No. I mean, the writers on this, it was Purvis and Wade who'd done all the Brosnan era ones, and went on to do more. But yeah, as you say, there's a slight juxtaposition there between the silly one-liners in what is otherwise actually an increasingly dark sequence.
Yes, yeah, I'd say that's fair.
But there you go. It is how it is.
It is an observation, nonetheless.
Yes.
Bit of car content for us in the pre-titles there as well.
Little line of supercars there. Yes.
Yeah, that was it. We had so we got a knockoff Ford GT40.
Yes.
I mean, far be it from us to assume it's a real one. That seems a little ambitious.
Seems unlikely, I would say. I know Bond is all about doing things for real, but I think it's unlikely that was a real one. Yes.
Yeah, that's 993 911 F355 Diablo, Mercedes SL,
Diablo,
and the Jag XK-R as well is there at the beginning, loitering in the background.
Indeed, we see more of that later.
Point.
Yes, a bit of a lineup there for the petrol heads. Yeah.
Nice. Enjoyed that. And let's get another thing out there as well, shall we? I cannot stand the song.
Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about, actually, whilst we're on the title sequence, we should just mention that the gun barrel sequence is the only one in the whole series where the bullet is featured, comes flying towards the camera.
Oh, nice little nugget there.
When Bond turns and fires and the red comes down, it's obviously a CGI bullet comes straight towards the camera. It's the only time they've done that. Don't know why.
Okay.
This film, of course, was the 40th anniversary of the series,
which again we'll come back to because of nods.
Yes, because of nods. However, the music. Yes. I think I first heard the music. This'll age it.
God.
I got an instrumental sort of demo version of it off Napster. I remember, and I heard an instrumental version of it before I heard the lyrical version. And
I don't know whether that helps or hinders it, to be honest. I'm not.
No, I don't know. I think it's sort of indicative of the sort of stuff Madonna was doing at the time. And I kind of felt, yes, it's probably about time Madonna did a Bond track, because she's the sort of artist with a longevity of career who they like to use. But it is a bit strange. The lyrics are odd. It doesn't really have much of a melody. I don't absolutely hate it, but I don't think it really fits in a Bond film.
No, I'd say that's fair. I mean, I'm not going to go as far as to say hate it, but I don't think it's very good.
I don't think. No, I mean the lyrics are at least related to the story, or at least related to the bit of the story. Because for the first time as well, the story actually continues during the title sequence.
While we're rolling. Yes.
Yeah, they've never done that before, and I think they sort of tried to tie the lyrics to the action we were seeing under the title sequence. So I quite like their attempt to do that. Not quite sure about the whole Sigmund Freud analyze this. It's quite sure what that's all about. But anyway,
don't do that again, please.
No, I'll try not to do that again. But I can see what they were trying to do, and I can sort of see the lyrics trying to explain how Bond is surviving in this environment and how he's kind of shutting himself down to try and deal with it. And I can see what they were trying to do. I think they probably let Madonna have a bit too much creative freedom with it. It's certainly, if you were to listen to it as a piece of music, you wouldn't say that's a Bond song.
No.
Not in a million years would you say that sounds like a Bond song.
No, not at all.
But here it is.
It's difficult, isn't it?
And of course, Madonna is in the film. We'll no doubt come on to that. But
yes, she makes her presence felt in that, doesn't she?
Just a little bit. Yes.
Yeah. Maybe a little too much, but there we go.
Well, at least it was when she still looked normal, as opposed to now. But anyway, let's.
So you touched on a good point there of just going, music's a bit iffy. We're very much not sold on the film in general, are we? So
I'd like to just clarify that the title song is a bit iffy. I think David Arnold's score is very good.
Yeah, fair. Yep.
So I don't think the music's a bit iffy. I think the title song specifically is a bit iffy. I think the rest of the score is classic David Arnold, and he does what he does, and he does it very well. So the score is fine. It's the title song that's a bit off. Yes.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I'll agree wholeheartedly on that. But what? Yeah. So you raise a good point. We've got an iffy title song. Very good. And let's face it, a film that I know before we've dissected it too much, that we're not keen on. And I think the bit that really grinds the gears is that we've coming off the back of probably Brosnan's finest outing.
The World Is Not Enough. Yes, I agree.
Tremendous film, executed beautifully.
Yeah.
Superb title song, let's face it.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah. The World Is Not Enough is, I would say, damn near perfect film.
Masterpiece of a Bond film, that.
Yeah, I agree. This is not that.
No, it's not. Let's move into the meat of it.
Yes.
So, like I said, I'm not going to break it down. It's scene by scene or anything like that. I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to talk about it as a whole. Really, there's a bit of an overview, and what I'm going to say is, from the supporting cast. So, when I say the supporting cast, it's the ones that aren't the returning cast, but the either the villains or the accomplice, or
excluding the MI6.
Basically, yes, that's what what I'm alluding to here.
Yes, because you're obviously not going to dare to criticise Judi Dench, because obviously we're going to have a problem if you do that.
I'm not going to criticise Judi Dench. I can't really even have a pop at John Cleese because it was a really odd time. It was a role that had to be filled.
It was a role that had to be filled fairly last minute.
And let's face it, it was the obvious choice after The World Is Not Enough.
Yes. Well, to be fair, I think he was a fairly obvious choice even if he hadn't done it before.
Yes.
I think he is absolutely perfect to carry on from Desmond. I think that was a brilliant piece of casting. I really do. He's absolutely brilliant, and he really enjoyed doing it, and you can tell that he's enjoying doing it.
Absolutely. And we have, like I said, while we're praising the returning members of MI6, we got Colin Salmon as Robinson, tremendous.
Yes, tremendous.
Samantha Bond as Moneypenny. Yeah. Really strong Moneypenny. I thought I liked her.
I really liked her, Moneypenny. Yeah, she really shone in GoldenEye.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
She was tremendous in that.
Yes.
As in fact, that was probably her strongest of the ones that she did.
Yes.
But very good in this. Yeah.
So let's get to the bit that I'm going to talk about. Let's face it, the cast that was chosen was probably some of them okay, some of them not. In terms of the people who were there, their acting performance in this film was diabolical.
Appalling. Yes.
Yes.
I know.
I just.
Yeah.
And let's face it. I mean, I'm going to whittle a few down before we end up at a natural point. So I think I quite liked Rick Young. Not too bad. Quite a good.
Oh, as Zhao.
Yeah.
Yeah. The diamonds in the face. Yeah.
Yeah. Not too bad. Good sort of villain henchman type.
There's not a lot to work with, is there, really?
No.
I mean, he's kind of an empty space kind of character. We don't really know anything about him. He's just sort of, villain number 2, isn't he? He's kind of
basically, yeah, which is fine. And I thought, yep, all right, not too bad.
Yeah. I thought the diamonds in the face was quite a sort of Bondian. That's quite Fleming.
Yes.
A physically disfigured villain is something that Fleming liked to do.
Oh, yeah. Loves a bit of that.
And the fact that Bond caused it, I think, just gives him a little bit of anger towards Bond, although the rest of his motivations are pretty transparent. But anyway, yeah. I thought, performed very well. Yeah.
Yeah. That was all right. Let's remain on the sort of villainous side, shall we? So I think it was Kenneth Tsang and Will Young Lee who played General Moon and Colonel Moon.
Yes, that's right. Father and son.
Yeah. Father and son. Yeah. So I thought their performance was actually quite good.
Yeah. Certainly the elder, I thought was absolutely superb. Yeah,
really good. And Colonel Moon was obviously quite short-lived.
You wouldn't see a lot of him.
No, he got flung off on the beginning there, but still, those two good performance.
Yeah.
Right now, let's chuck an easy one out there. Mr. Kill. Utter nonsense.
Yes, completely pointless. Yes.
Utter nonsense.
He's there just to be there.
I've got nothing more than nonsense on that, I'm afraid.
No, that's a completely pointless character.
Yeah. Miranda Frost.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
A bit of shit, wasn't it?
Yeah. She's so obviously one of the villains, even though she's introduced as not being.
Yeah,
there's no surprise when
no,
she
it's about as subtle as a brick through a window. That,
yeah,
which is so disappointing because I've seen her, Rosamund Pike, in many things, and she's a superb actress.
She is superb, but she's really phoning it in.
And I don't know, whether it's a disservice to her, or whether it's just the part was a bit crap.
I don't think there's a lot on the page for her.
No,
Her dialogue is pretty insipid. Her motivations are, well, I mean, her character's been bought, basically.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah, and she'll do anything for him now, which, okay. But you were an MI6 agent.
Which it doesn't make sense because she's clearly such a strong woman. And you go, and yet you've been bought by who we're moving on to next.
Yes.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, the character doesn't ring true at all.
No. Which is, there we go. That's by the by. It's just, not just underutilized.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Yeah.
That's about as nice as I can put that. Right. Let's get on to supposedly the main villain. Gustav Graves.
Yeah.
Weak to say the least.
Yeah, played by Toby Stephens. Yeah.
Overplayed by Toby Stephens?
Yeah, there's a lot of overacting there, isn't there?
Oh, God.
And I know that he's playing a character who is himself pretending to be someone he's not.
Yes.
So there is that to take into account, but even so, yeah.
It's very uncomfortable watching, and it's just...
It is.
There's just no depth there.
I think for me, one of the worst scenes is when we first see him, when he parachutes in to the mall outside Buckingham Palace, and he does that little press conference, and the press are all throwing him these easy questions, and they're all laughing at his horrible jokes, and it's all, it's so cringy.
Yes, it's bad, isn't it?
As we say in fencing, what's the point? For God's sake.
Fetching up a bit of sick in my mouth there.
So awful.
Dreadful. Absolutely dreadful.
Yes. And the hoops the production had to jump through to get permission to parachute in over Buckingham Palace. I mean, months of negotiations. And it was for that scene.
It's bad, isn't it?
And he clambers in his L322 and he's gone. And that, it's really bad.
It is.
That's possibly one of the worst introductions of the main villain in the whole series.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And I know they're trying to establish that he's a bit of a cock, but even so.
Yes, that's fair. And let's face it, I do recall there being quite the what's the word? I don't know, buzz around him at the time, potentially, of going, this will
I remember that. I remember that, and I remember thinking, well, I've never heard of him before, and to be fair, I've never heard of him since.
No, well, it's not strictly true. I've sat there and I've watched various bits of television, and you go, oh, that's him, in one episode of something.
Yeah, it didn't exactly launch him into Hollywood, did it?
No, it didn't. But here's the thing for you. Now, I don't know if you know this. He does have a connection with Bond later in his career.
All right.
He actually has been voicing James Bond in the radio plays
Okay.
of the
Interesting.
original stories.
Okay, right. I didn't know that. Oh, fair dues. Okay.
Which, there you go. That's a
that's a
There you go.
nice bit. We like that. Nice bit of trivia. Nice bit of trivia.
pop that in the knowledge banks for you.
Yeah. Can I throw in a little bit of trivia at this point?
I would love you to. Yeah.
Because it's relevant to that scene. So just before the parachuting in, we see what I call the London calling scene. So Bond's on the plane coming back to the UK.
Oh, quite. Yes. Yeah.
They're playing the London calling, and he orders a martini on the plane, obviously. The
was shaken. Yes, all of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's right. Like they can do anything about turbulence. What do they call them? Are they the cabin crew, hostess? I don't know what they call them.
No, you cannot say hostess now.
No, I didn't think I could. That's why I was questioning it. No, I don't know.
No, as you're well aware, my daughter's training for a career in that. So it's, I believe, the acceptable terms. You'd be correct first time, cabin crew or flight attendant, I believe, is also
flight attendant. Okay, yes, hostess is very 60s. Anyway, the lady who delivers Mr. Bond's martini is in fact Deborah Moore, Roger Moore's daughter.
Oh, lovely. Yes, I did know that, but yes.
I'd have been disappointed if you didn't know that.
Yes, but yes, really, I hadn't scribbled that down to mention it, but yes, well done. Yes.
There we go.
That nice little nod there. Very good.
Yes. I wonder if that scene was put in just to have something for her to do, because it's a fairly pointless scene. You just see Bond drinking a martini and reading about graves in the magazine. That's it. But anyway,
now
that's fine.
Now that's interesting. You bring up this sort of non-event scene, basically just to go, right, Bond is back in London. It's really obvious.
London. He's been reading about the villain in this magazine, so he's got a little bit of information about him. And
I mean, it couldn't be more on the nose if they tried. British Airways, London calling playing in the background, bit of a overhead shot, lovely, perfect. It's like, yes, we've got it. He's in London now. Yes,
back in the UK, and then we've got him parachuting in over Buckingham Palace with a Union Jack parachute. I think we're all clear now.
And where are we again?
Where we are.
Yeah. So my next question, just regarding that rather on the nose sequence. The use of the Clash.
Yes.
Now, can we recall in Bond history? So, like you said, that was the 40th anniversary. In the 40 years that preceded it, have we had anything that we could even remotely label as a rock song used in a Bond soundtrack?
Well, I would. Well, there's two things come to mind. One of them is definitely not rock. We had in A View to a Kill, in the pre-title sequence, we had the Beach Boys.
Yes, we did. Yeah,
well remember. I wouldn't describe that as rock, but
no, I mean, in the context of that, I know we've not done an episode on that film yet, but that was one of the cheesiest bits I'd ever seen.
Oh, it's terrible. But I can't remember my mind's gone blank of the name of the actual track, but it's definitely the Beach Boys. So there's that. But one I would definitely describe. I think I would describe as rock in The Living Daylights, The Pretenders, Where Has Everybody Gone?
Oh, yeah, I'd forgotten that was in there.
Which plays under the villain Necros whenever he's doing some naughties. That track, either in instrumental or lyrical form. I'd probably say that's a rock track. Where has everybody gone?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So off the top of my head, I would say yes, we have had that before. Not quite as blatant as the use of the Clash here, and obviously we don't get the whole track; we only get a little bit of it. But it's all right. I don't mind it being there.
No. That I don't. That, absolutely, that was my point. I wasn't criticizing it. I just thought it's interesting because it's the one most obvious ones they've done.
We've not had a lot of
departure.
We've not had a lot of it, but occasionally a sort of a foreign track, if you like, will make its way in.
Yeah, interesting.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, just for the record, because you were saying which Beach Boys one, it was California Girls.
Very good. Of course it was. Yes, of course it was.
I didn't want to butt in. So what we've done is we've tackled the villainous side of the cast. What I would like weak, overacted, weak, poo. Let's go with the Allies, shall we? That fractious relationship between the British and the American intelligence
and the Americans. Yes, indeed.
So what should we do? Let's go with Falco, played by Michael Madsen.
Now, I really like Michael Madsen as an actor. I've seen him in lots of things. I think he's superb, but he's awful in this.
Utter toss.
Yes, and it's not him, because if you see him in other stuff,
yes, I mean,
I've always found him to be really good, but
you got to think the things that we've seen him in over the years, all of the films that we hold very dear. I mean, the fact that he's come as a character out of a film where he cut someone's ear off, that we still like the character.
Yes, there's that. He's also he's the boyfriend in Thelma and Louise. He's really good in that.
Yep.
Numerous things. But in this, it's horrible to watch. He's so awful.
He's bad.
But again, it's how it's written, isn't it? It's just he's got nothing to work with. He's just written as an obnoxious, arrogant arse. Yes.
And while he doesn't have a huge amount of screen time, the time that he is on the screen is not pleasant.
Nobody likes him.
No, it's really awkward. Which is really difficult because there's so little screen time. I can't string this portion of our episode out much because the only bits that we've got to work with are short and truly shocking.
Yeah, it's true. It's disappointing. Okay. Again, a very underused actor in this film.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to the
and
bit
you just know his agent said to him, "No, it's a Bond film. You've got to do it." But it's crap.
Yeah. I'm sure he was paid very well.
Yes.
Okay. We can't skirt around the issue anymore, can we? I'm afraid. Halle Berry.
Oh, yeah. I'd almost forgotten. Yeah.
That's not true, is it? You'd almost blocked it out.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yes.
Dreadful character. I don't know if I can't just I can't make wild accusations of appalling acting. I don't know what she had to work with. I would assume not a lot.
I would assume not a lot. Yeah.
But it was. It was just cringeworthy.
Really bad. Every time she's on screen, it takes a nosedive. And there was talk at the time of them doing a spin-off with her character as the lead.
Yes, indeed there was.
If you recall. And I remember thinking at the time, oh, please don't do that.
What was fascinating is I think, as I remember, that they were saying this, and this was before the film had come out.
Yes.
They were over-egging it.
Yeah, they were bigging it up immediately. Yeah.
And the film came out, and everyone went, "Nah, you're right."
No, I wouldn't bother with that really.
No, save your money.
Yeah.
Oh, it's bad. Really bad. Oh, really bad.
Yeah, there's nothing there at all.
No, I got nothing, I'm afraid.
No. So on the villainous side of things, we're pretty weak all round.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next,
so, yeah, go on.
I'm about to go into quite a large gripe, I think. So just in case you had anything smaller to go on there.
No, I've sort of got a bit of an overview that I'd like to give, but you gripe away. We'll do that at the end. That's all right.
Maybe it is. Maybe this is something of an overview as well. But so if you remove the actors from the film,
yes,
or from this discussion, you go. There is something really to be said for the poor quality of production.
It's not the best, is it? I'd forgotten about that, but on watching it through again, it struck me. I sort of remember. I thought, this is not really up to scratch, is it?
No, and it's a combination of the dodgy CGI, which is definitely overused,
which was a first for a Bond film to use CGI at all.
Which I mean, and it's that irritation of going. 3 years prior to that, you achieved a film that was produced to a really high quality.
Yeah.
And now, 3 years, things move on quickly in the sort of tech area, particularly film production. You're going, how have you made it worse by some considerable margin?
Really cheap CGI.
So it's the combination of that really awful CGI, but it's the quality of the sets as well.
Yeah,
they're really bad.
Yeah, I mean the Ice Palace particularly.
I mean that's really bad, but I mean in general, it's
plastic.
It's really bad, it's like so obvious. It's just.
Yes. That's not something I'd sort of noted, but you're quite right that generally the sets are poor. I know. I mean, it was the usual crew. I mean, they had the legendary Peter Lamont design the Ice Palace and oversaw construction of it, and he worked on the volcano in You Only Live Twice. I mean, he's been on nearly all of them.
Yeah.
He worked on the La Parra supertanker for The Spy Who Loved Me. I mean, these were not shoddy sets.
No, absolutely not.
But as you say, there was something a bit below par here. Whether they were squeezed on budget, I don't know.
But it was really awful. I thought.
Yeah.
But
generally, the whole look and feel of it doesn't feel polished.
No. No, absolutely not.
In fact, when I was watching it back, I had to go, is this the HD version, or have I somehow managed to get a lower definition copy of this one? I thought, no, it's not. It's the HD one. Oh, dear.
Yeah.
That doesn't look great.
No, it's... If anything, actually, the lower quality one would have probably helped hide it.
Yes, that's probably true, actually.
Yeah.
It's probably true.
And it annoyed me because I'm sitting there going, this is. I mean, what was really funny is Kaylee sat and watched it with me.
Oh, okay. Well, she is rather partial to the one with the eyes.
Yeah, it's just the one that she knows like the back of her hand. So, in particular, when Jinx makes her escape from the clinic in Cuba.
Oh yeah.
The appalling backflip.
Yep.
Yeah. So
puts me in mind of the horse jumping off the castle in Never Say Never Again, and that's not a good thing.
No, it's not. It's bad.
Yeah.
So I knew it was coming because at this point I was far enough into the film to go, oh God, it's all coming back to me.
Yes, I had a bit of that too.
Yeah, and I was like, oh no, I know what's coming, and it happened, and she plunged from the cliff, and Kaylee laughed. I'm like, yeah. See, that's the problem with it. You see,
they weren't going for a laugh. That was supposed to be dramatic.
Yeah, that's the difficult bit, isn't it? There are some things in films where stuff like that happens and a laugh is acceptable, but in this you go, God, they weren't trying to make it funny.
They weren't sure that was supposed to be dramatic.
Yeah. Oh, God.
No.
The only saving grace is she was out of the room for the laser and the parasailing bit where he chops off a bit of iceberg and then goes surfing.
Oh yeah, I remember in the Everything or Nothing documentary, even Brosnan is laughing at that.
Yeah, that was
can't surf in tsunamis today, brother. Like, what? Okay.
That was awful.
Well, it was terrible, especially the CGI icebergs.
Oh God, so bad.
It's really terrible. It's just you don't expect that from a Bond film, and I remember there being some uproar about that at the time. The fact that there was CGI in it at all, and so obviously cheap CGI.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, they did half miss a trick there and break out the Beach Boys again, didn't they?
Oh, that's a very good point. They could, a little homage. The film is full of homages to earlier Bonds and Bond lore. So, a bit of Beach Boys there. That would have been ideal. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You've raised that point. Do you want to go into that?
We can do.
The nods, so to speak.
The nods, and there are a few. Yes, there are a few. I guess the biggest, the most obvious one, is when Bond is in Raoul's office. He picks up Birds of the West Indies.
Yeah, that's the one that annoys me.
Yeah,
that's the one of just going, why you? This is not meant to be how it works.
They've broken the fourth wall with that, haven't they?
Yeah. That
Birds
bit...
of the West Indies by James Bond, and he makes no. He picks it up and looks at it, but he makes no reference to it. You think, well, how can that can't exist?
No, that's not how these things work. So yeah, that annoyed me. The better nods. I mean, for instance, Q's lab or whatever it is, a workshop with
packed
all of the
with little bits. Yes,
that I can get. That's a bit of.
How many can you spot then? How many can you spot?
Go on then, reel them off for us.
Right, I'll do what I can remember. We've got the little Acrostar jet plane from Octopussy hanging on the wall. We've got Rosa Klebb's shoe from Russia with Love with the knife that pops out the front.
Bit odd that they've got that.
Yeah, that is strange. And the fact that Bond sniffs it, I'm not sure about that. He sniffs it and then does a face. It's like, what? Is that your fetish?
I think it might be,
We got a little insight into the character there that we hitherto didn't know.
Loves a bit of it, doesn't he?
Apparently. Loves a cheesy shoe. So there's that. There's the jetpack from Thunderball.
Yes. Yeah.
There's the crocodile submarine thing from Octopussy.
Yes. Yep.
That's in there. That's all I can think of off the top of my head, but I'm sure there are other things. If you look closely, I'm sure there's other things.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think you've reeled off the key ones there, haven't you?
I think they're the big items. Yeah.
Yeah, and I suppose that there's the other nods, isn't there? Like you already mentioned the Union Jack parachute.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. As we saw in The Spy Who Loved Me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing, and the oh come on, brain, the Halle Berry emerging from the water.
Of course, yes, with the knife on the belt, like
yes.
Ursula Andress in Doctor No. Yes, that's true. Yeah. Yes, I remember there being a big fuss about that at the time as well. That it was a great homage to Ursula Andress.
Yes. What about when he's in Cuba? The first time in probably a little while we've heard the name Universal Exports.
When he goes to pick up the Delectados. Yes.
Indeed, he does. Yes.
Yes, Universal Exports. Yes, of course. This is the first time we've heard that for a while. Now, let me think. When was the last time we heard? It's Living Daylights. I think Bond uses it in Living Daylights.
Yes, he does. So I'm trying to think. We got?
And prior to that, I think it's For Your Eyes Only. It's written on the helicopter in the pre-title sequence.
Yes.
I don't think Bond actually says it, but there's a Universal Exports logo on the side of the helicopter that picks him up at the
yes, there is
at the cemetery.
Hang on. There were more, weren't there? Actually, thinking about it. So you were quite right to mention the Living Daylights. However, there is a reference to it in License to Kill as well, isn't there? When only in dialogue, when Bond is snooping around Milton Crest's place and he's saying he's from Universal Exports and he's after a great white shark of all things.
That's right, a Carcarius or something like that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
Oh, hang on. No, it's flooding back to me now. Do you remember when in The World Is Not Enough, when Bond is faking Davidoff's ID in the Kazi on the plane?
Yes.
He cuts his photograph out of a Universal Exports ID card.
He does. You're right. Yes, you're right. It's more frequently used than you think, isn't it?
Hang on.
I know it was used in the Daniel Craig era as well, but of course that's after this. So
yeah. We can't
get into that.
No. So yes, actually, Brosnan got to use it a couple of times.
Yeah, there you go. Very good. It crops up more frequently than you think.
Okay. Good.
Anyway, yes. Slight
what were you doing? Oh, that was it. The nods. That was it.
The nods. They did stop short of giving us a DB5 in this one. They managed to resist. They held it in. They didn't give us a DB5.
However, we did end up back in an Aston Martin.
Aston Martin call it the Vanquish. We call it the Vanish.
A little bit toss, wasn't it?
Worst Bond gadget ever, do we think? The invisible car.
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk about that car specifically. We know a lot of the things they did to it to make it work in the movie. But
for instance, removing a lot of the Aston Martin drivetrain.
Gearbox and engine were gone. It wasn't really an Aston Martin anymore. It just looked like one. Of course, this was very solidly in the Ford era of sponsorship.
Yes, what a good point you make. Because, for instance, some of the furniture in the background. So we've got some. There's a Jag XJ at one point.
Yes.
An XKR that isn't the green one.
Yeah, an X100 XKR. Yeah. Of course, that was current model at the time.
Indeed, it was. You already mentioned L322. There's
L322 Range Rover. Yeah.
Some Lincolns knocking about there as well.
And a
sea of Volvos, because they were owned at the same time.
They were part of the Ford Group at that time. Yes, and of course, Halle Berry's Thunderbird.
Yeah, I mean, I was leaving it for last, not for good reasons. Awful.
Yeah.
Dreadful car, that.
Yeah.
Same platform as the Jaguar S-Type, I think you'll find.
I was just going to mention that. Yes, obviously, I am aware that both cars share the Lincoln LS platform. Yes.
Yes. Yep.
But there it was, pink and everything.
Absolute shitbox. When you think, but you hark back to the original Thunderbird from the sort of late 50s, you go, oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Bit of actual American style, and then you look at that one and go, yeah, can that just fall through the ice at this point, huh?
Fortunately, we only see it very briefly, and it doesn't do anything. I believe, wasn't that supposed to be like the world unveiling of that car? It was the first time we'd seen it, I seem to recall. It was very new. It wasn't the first time we'd seen it. It was a very new car.
Yeah, because what we're talking, so it's 2002.
2002. So filming was late 2001. Yeah.
Which
2002.
And Ford were really pushing it, because I think you're absolutely right. And I think that was the unveiling of it. But
I'm sure it was.
I'm convinced you're right on that. But I also think as well, at the time, do you remember? It would have been season 2 of 24. It had quite a starring role in that of one of the.
There you go.
One of the ladies in that. I think. Oh God, going back from memory, I think it was Kate Warner was the female in it who became quite a prominent role in that series, and I think later became a continuation character because Mr. Bauer fancied a bit of her.
Maybe that'll happen.
Yeah, but
I don't recall it in 24, but I'm sure that's correct. Yeah.
Yes, it was. It was that the grotty Thunderbird was definitely in that and very prominent.
Not a hugely successful vehicle, as it turned out.
No, dreadful. A flop.
Yes.
Oh dear. Right.
Yes. So there it was. But what was the car that Bond drives in Cuba?
Ford Fairlane.
That's a Fairlane. Okay, very good. Excellent.
Yep.
Well done.
Just.
I knew it'd be a Ford.
Well, yeah.
Obviously.
And it makes sense that it's a proper old proper old thing. Hang on. If we're talking nods, Ford Fairlane, Thunderball,
that's absolutely. Count Lippy's car was a Fairlane. Yeah.
Same model, I believe. I believe, absolutely bob on. Same model.
Yeah, I think it was identical. Yeah, apart from the colour. Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that Bond had the lid off, but
he did have a bit of ragtop motoring there. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Right. All right. So We've dissected. We've discussed.
Yeah, pulled a few details out.
Well, what are we concluding on this one?
Well, there's kind of many parts to it for me. I think I'm okay with the pre-title. You get over the title sequence, we're then into Hong Kong. You're no use to anyone now, a bit harsh. Moving on through all the kind of North Korean stuff, and I think, oh yeah, this is quite dark, quite gritty spy thriller here. I quite like where this is going. Then we see Halle Berry, and it starts to, you think, oh dear. And then, Toby Stephens and all his stuff. Oh no, it's going the wrong way. And then we're sort of into the London sequence, and then and I'm sort of sticking with it up until we get to Iceland, and then it all goes wrong for me. And that sort of second half of the film. No.
I'm with you on pretty much everything.
And it's downhill all the way to the ending.
Yep. Ending's dreadful.
It's
awful. And I know we've actually done this segment to death, but the car bit was meh as well. The Jag and the Aston.
Oh, on the ice. Yeah.
And then the car chase in the hotel, and the rooms that are so perfectly sealed they can fill up. You're like, really?
Yeah, because that would happen.
Just utter nonsense.
The driving the cars in the Ice Palace was actually an afterthought, and they had to do a load of sort of retrofit construction because they were just going to do the car chase on the frozen lake, and there were a lot of problems with that in itself. But then they thought, oh, we're just going to melt the palace and it's all going to collapse, and that's that. And they thought, oh, we need to do something. Well, let's carry on the car chase in the palace. And so they had to redesign a whole load of it and re-engineer a load of it because it was built on the 007 stage at Pinewood, so that the cars would fit, because it hadn't been designed for that.
No.
So that was well thought out. With all and I know, the production side of it is all very interesting in how they do these things, and but in terms of the movie, once we get to Iceland, I'm kind of done, really. I don't much care, the whole Icarus thing.
Nonsense.
Where he's got the thing, the glove and the thing he puts on, and it's.
I know you just look at him and go, oh, it must be the size of a knob.
And I know he makes the joke about, do you know anything about ergonomics? This thing is still a suitcase. But I just don't care by that point. And the death of Miranda and all that stuff, I don't care by that point. No. I just don't care. I'm so uninvested in it by that point, because any interest I had at the beginning of the film has just been whittled away.
Yeah, all gone
with such a strong opening, and the whole torture sequence and the North Korean stuff, and you think, oh, we're really shaping up for a proper gritty spy thriller. They really are taking this in a new direction now. And I remember thinking that when I watched it in the cinema. And the having the torture sequence underneath the title sequence. If you look at that, that's quite strong. I mean, they're really knocking him about. I mean, it's quite, for a Bond film, it's quite strong stuff. And then it all just sort of evaporates. And there's individual scenes. I quite like the stuff where he gets to the hotel in Hong Kong and he, send up my tailor, and
that's
bottle of
classic
Bollinger, and yes, that's right. You see all the shirts and ties laid out on the bed, and you think, oh, he's getting himself back. And it's like,
that's it. And the really good interaction between him and the Chang from Chinese intelligence, and you go,
yes,
that's really good.
It is. There are individual sequences like that I think, that's actually quite good fun. I quite like that. There's a lot of Bond sort of tropes there, and you see him sort of transform himself back into the Bond that we know. There's individual
placement
like
with the Philips razor there.
Obviously,
lovely.
yes. I think there's a brand name on the wrappers the shirts are in as well.
Yeah, what's fascinating as well is the Philips advertising is tremendous, because he's holding it just so you can see the name and the model.
Of course.
But what's really fucking annoying is when you get to London and you go to the disused tube station, and you get an oldie world poster on the wall of a modern razor, the Philips gloriousness there. Absolute toss.
Yeah, well, they did call it Buy Another Day, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
That was for good reason.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I think it starts strong, and they had all the building blocks for it to be actually one of the strongest, potentially one of the strongest in the series. And they were almost heading in a sort of Daniel Craig era direction, and they just blew it.
Yeah, they slipped on the ice and fucked it up. Yep.
They did. They really did.
Yeah, it was. I got to the end of it really disappointed. And do you know what? And this is bold. This doesn't mean it's worse, but what I'm saying is I was more disappointed at the end of this than I was at Never Say Never Again, probably because the expectations were at different levels.
You knew that was crap going. You didn't expect to like it. You didn't particularly want to like it.
No, I didn't particularly want to watch it. But what's really annoying is I went into this with a bit of hope. And
I was kind of clinging to the fact that maybe it's not as bad as we remember, and it's been a long time since I've watched it, and let's give it a fair crack. And as I say, for the first sort of 15, 20 minutes or so,
not too shabby.
It's good. It's genuinely good.
Trouble is, there's another hour and a half at least.
Yeah, that's the problem, and it's a downhill rush from there.
And
as each new bit of plot and as each new character is revealed, it gets worse.
Do you know what really upsets me? It's the fact that Brosnan's tremendous. And this was not a fitting end for Brosnan.
Well, it wasn't meant to be, of course, was it? He was supposed to do more. He wanted to do more. We had 9/11 happen just before they started production. And they just didn't know what to do with it, did they? So they kind of put it on hold and said no more to him, which I think he was personally very disappointed with. I think he very much wanted to carry on doing it. But as you say, it's a really weak ending for his era, which is a shame.
It is a shame. So I think we've summarised it again. Well, it's been a long time, and it's going to be another long time now.
I think it will be again. Yes, I think it will be again. It would never have been on the top of my list, and it hasn't done anything to get any higher up the list, to be honest.
No. Now, what did we lock in on next?
I believe it was License to Kill.
Yes, it was. Well remembered.
Yes. That's also a very interesting film. And again, I don't think it's anyone's favourite.
No, but I don't have any fear about going into that.
I'm actually quite looking forward to that, because again, it's one I haven't watched for a long time. I know it's got its problems.
However, I know in my heart of hearts I don't have to worry that it's got a lot of redeeming features.
Yeah, and I think it's certainly a stronger story with stronger acting than Die Another Day.
The acting's great. The story, while it's not very Bond, it's very of its time.
Extremely of its time. I remember even at the time them saying it could have been, plucked from the headlines of the newspapers. It was, it was a very topical story.
It was very on point, wasn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
It was. All right. Well, we won't go any further than that because what we're
Let's
doing
not start reviewing that one now because
we're reviewing that based on memory, and I've got no issue with doing that at all. But I would actually quite like to watch that one. I don't think we're going to have the same delay. I'm not saying we're doing the episode next week by any stretch, but what we're doing is we'll get to License to Kill a lot quicker than we got to Die Another Day.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah. I think that's fair.
Okay. Good. Well, we did it. We got there. I mean, it probably took well over a year.
But we did, didn't it? Would we recommend anyone choose this one if they're looking for a Bond film to watch?
No.
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 It's quite easy to answer.
That's it. If you're going to dedicate a couple of hours of your life to a Bond film, pick a different one.
Pick a different one. If you want a bit of Brosnan, I would suggest either GoldenEye or World Is Not Enough.
Yeah, I
wouldn't bother with the other two, to be honest.
Look, I know you're a bit harsher on Tomorrow Never Dies than I am, but
yeah,
I tell you what, I guarantee that you would, in a heartbeat, pick Tomorrow Never Dies over that.
Yes, I probably would. We haven't done Tomorrow Never Dies yet, have we?
No, which I think you're going to be hard work on that, whereas I'm going to be quite into it.
Yeah, probably.
Now that I think you'll enjoy more, but yeah, we digress.
I hope so.
But the main takeaway from this is we've watched it, so you don't have to. For the love of God, pick a different one if you're going to watch a Bond film.
It's good advice, and as we know, James Bond will return.
Allegedly.
Maybe.
Well, I think that's probably enough of that for this week. Check us out on all the various social medias and things. Thank you very much for listening.